Hello and welcome back to Through the Eyes of Enji, where we are reviewing 100 films in 365 days to raise money for the Shawbury Village players, and We Are With You. We Are With You is a confidential service for young people and families affected by drugs and alcohol in Shropshire. Their work includes information, support and advice about drugs and alcohol, one-to-one support, group work, a parent-carer helpline, help to make decisions about lifestyle, links to other services, early intervention and harm reduction. We're also raising money for the Shawbury Village players. Now, if you've known me for any length of time, you're probably aware of the Shawbury Village players. They are a community theatre group based in, unsurprisingly, Shawbury, who put on pantos, Shakespeare, pretty much anything, they'll give it a go. Now, if you've had some issues with mental health, like I have, then you might appreciate, like me, what an impact it would be to the community to lose something like the Village Players. So please, drop us a few quid, nominate a film, and have me talk about it. Some will make me laugh, some will make me cry, some of them will make me spew hatred for a half an hour. See Batman and Robin. But we've got the opposite end of the spectrum today because we are talking, courtesy of Colin, about Pride. Before I begin, I do just need to point out that the links were broken in the video description. So the link to the Just Giving page wouldn't actually take you there. Neil pointed it out. Thanks, Neil, for doing that. It's now been fixed, so you should be able to donate again. Anyway, Pride. Released in 2014, directed by Matthew Walkers, written by Stephen Beresford, based on a true story. It stars Ben Schnetzer as Mark, George McKay as Joe Cooper, Andrew Scott as Gethin Roberts, Joseph Gilgan as Mike, Dominic West as Jonathan, and Paddy Constantine as Di, among many, many others, because seriously, the cast is pretty huge here. Storyline-wise, UK gay activists work to help miners during their lengthy strike of the National Union of Mine Workers in the summer of 1984, eventually find themselves in the Welsh village of Onlwyn. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, sorry about that. And through their sincere fundraising and Jonathan's nifty disco moves, persuade most of the community that they're on the same side. Before going any deeper into Pride, I'll be up front, because I knew within minutes of the film starting that I was going to love every moment of the film, and what I didn't expect though was to be moved to tears multiple times. This Pride is a wonderful film, which touched me on multiple occasions, and I really can't recommend it enough. Find it, watch it, because this year's been so bloody hard for so many people, and this is a film that will just make your heart sore. And to be honest, I could kind of finish and leave it at that, because as well as being a beautifully moving film, it's also side-splittingly funny. There's a whole side of comedy which has been mined, get it, for many years about putting famous actors and actresses in situations which become funny because of who the actor is. So watching Dolores Umbridge waving a sex toy around, frankly, was worth the price of admission. And don't at me, that was spoiled in the trailers. That being said, comedy I've found in the past, sorry, intentional comedies, Batman and Robin doesn't count, is the hardest thing to review, as different people find different things funny. I mean, Laura finds The Inbetweeners hysterically funny, and it makes me want to melt into the sofa. On the other side of the coin, I always laugh my socks off watching Animal House, and Laura gets bored and leaves the room after 5 minutes. So keep that in mind as we go through this review and any ones I do in the future about other comedies, because I know we've got Sausage Party and Super Troopers off the top of my head yet to come. When I was thinking after the film about Pride, I wondered if the original plan might have been to make this a drama around the story it's based on. And if the film had been made in America, I imagine that might well have been the case. British films, I find, seem to be better at not shying away from the darker side of the material when they're doing comedies. So if you look at The Full Monty, didn't shy away from the fact that all these guys are unemployed steelworkers, and brassed off, which apparently is a comedy, but always depresses the hell out of me. Always also looked at the side effects of being unemployed. Now, Pride feels, at its core, like a very personal film. You feel like we're outsiders observing what's going on in these characters' lives. And when we do hit darker moments, and you'll know them when they come, the camera just slowly, gently moves away, like it's a deeply personal moment for these characters, and it's something that we shouldn't be privy to. And the film really understands that subtlety. You sometimes to see a single shot, a single hint of what's happening. You don't need to be shown and told everything. You know enough from what little information it gives you at times. What else is there? There's a couple of coming out scenes. They're both handled beautifully. The second one is around sandwiches, and that scene had me running the full emotional spectrum, because I started off laughing, and by the end I was crying. That scene is beautiful, and it's probably the best scene in any film I've seen in a long time. The characters we follow feel like actual people. They're not just one-note jokes. They're not here for just one reason. Some of them are broken in multiple different ways and are angry and hurt, but they still care about other people. And several of them inevitably have their eyes opened by the arrival of the gay and lesbian support the miners group when they arrive in Wales, and that the prejudices they initially had fall away. Watching, there's one old lady in particular who takes to the lesbians, and there's a running joke about their dietary requirements that builds as the film goes on and on. And you'd think in a lot of comedies you'd see that old lady saying, "Oh, I heard this thing about lesbians, I wanted to ask you." And that would just be the one-note joke, but this builds from that one-note joke into something more. I mean, the film's kind of predictable, but that doesn't detract from the film. It's 2 hours long. It flies by. It doesn't outstay its welcome. You never feel rushed. But in that time, it will undoubtedly make your sides split with laughter, but it's also going to make you cry a few times. I text Colin, who nominated the film at one point, saying something along the lines of, "You bastard, making me watch something that makes me cry." And he asked where I was and explained. He's like, "Oh, right, okay, buy another box of tissues." He wasn't wrong. I think the broadest point the film's trying to make, in my mind, is that these people are people. They're not defined by their sexuality. And they all have life experiences to share, which is shown quite early on with Dominic West, who as Jonathan, who's just a wonderful character anyway. And as more of his history is revealed, he's a very loving, knowledgeable person, and passes that knowledge on. And there's almost like a bit of surprise from the Welsh locals when he pips up saying, "Well, actually, it's this, this, and this." And the Welsh characters kind of look at him as if to say, "How do you know that? You're a gay from London, how do you know about that?" Is roughly how the conversation goes. And he just points out, just because that's my sexuality and that's where I'm living, doesn't mean I don't have knowledge and experience that I could pass on to you. Now, I'm spotlighting Jonathan just because I really like that character, but no one character is the main role. Everyone gets their time in the spotlight, so we do get to know them a bit better. And it helps, of course, that we've got the British A game here, who are definitely bringing all their guns to bear. I was initially concerned when I saw Bill Nighy was in the film because he might have dominated the time in the film, but he gets no more time than many of the other characters. And like everybody else, he develops over time. It's a very quiet performance, but it is stunningly moving. All of these characters have moving moments that you really start to care for them. Um, the subject of AIDS comes up. It is very much put in the background because that's not what this film is about, and I'm not going to go much further than that because I'm going to bring that up again when I review Rent, because I've got quite a bit more to say about that. Music is brilliant. The music is responsible for a lot of the film's highlights, like Jonathan dancing to Shame, Shame, Shame is brilliant. Bronwyn Lewis at one point quietly starts singing Bread and Roses. And if you told me that that happens before the film started, I would have written it off as like a really cliched moment. But it works, and I was sobbing. That's when I first needed the tissues. This film seems... Sorry, this review probably seems a little scatterbrained, but I'm trying really hard not to delve into any major jokes or moments because I really was worried about ruining the film. My notes in front of me have got hardly anything. There's only like 4 or 5 lines that I'm working from because I don't want to ruin this, and it's better just not to talk about them. The funniest the bits that will make your side split with laughter, which moments will break your heart, or in my case, maybe boil with anger because I hated some of the characters, developed as they were, and their actions just boiled my blood. I mean, pride is subtle in showing some of the things it does, but it's not subtle about the points it needs to put across. And yet, these are points that, sadly, still need to be made. I don't think I could have liked Pride any more than I did. I was soaring by the end of the film whilst I was wiping away tears. I know I've said it before, but I'll say it again. You absolutely must watch Pride. Make sure everyone you know watches it too, because it's an outstanding film. And I can't recommend it enough. You need to bring your tissues for the laughter and for the tears. It's just brilliant. It's not completely perfect, because nothing is, apart from arguably Raiders of the Lost Ark. But it's definitely one of my favourite films I've ever seen. I think it's just brilliant. I loved it to pieces. You're gonna need your tissues. You really are. Especially for the crawl at the end of the film, which shows that while sometimes it might seem improbable when you first look at it, but sometimes change can happen, and its effects can be lasting. Right. I'm not pulling a film out the jar this week because apparently there's some kind of big holiday thing tomorrow. Not tomorrow. Sorry, I'm recording this on the 20th. It's definitely not tomorrow. Next week, apparently, yeah. Well, it's Christmas next week, so because I don't want to watch Christmas films in the summer or something ridiculous like that, I've got at least one Christmas film that has been nominated for me with the original Miracle on 34th Street. So I'm going to deal with that. And I've got a feeling there might be another Christmas film. So if there is any Christmas films I've been nominated, I'm going to watch this week, and I'll do a double bill this time next. No, we'll try and get it out for Christmas Eve. We'll try and do a Christmas film marathon. So if you want me to watch a Christmas film, nominate it now. Please don't nominate Elf. I hate Elf. Okay, on that note, we'll finish for the day. Thanks very much for watching. Please do consider donating. If you are in one of these new Tier 4 locks, then please do take care of yourself. As I keep being reminded by Facebook, we're isolating so that when we meet up again, everyone's there and no one's missing. I've already lost friends to this. I don't want to lose any more. Take care. Merry Christmas.